Congressman Adam Schiff, a Democrat of California who serves on the committee investigating January 6th, says the committee is hoping to get Hannity to cooperate, and Congressman Schiff joins me now. Well, what do you make of this?
Well, that he knows a great deal that should be shared with the committee, that should be shared with the American people, about planning before the 6th, about conversations or text messages on the 6th, about things after the 6th of January, that he was plainly concerned, that he may have been concerned, among other things, that the White House counsel's office would potentially en masse leave office if Trump persisted in whatever they were plotting. So clearly he has very relevant information. We're not interested in his political commentary. We're not interested in what he does on Fox. We're interested in the communications he had around the 6th that shed light on this effort to overturn the election, and he knows a great deal.
Well, let me just follow up on that. There's a big preamble in the letter saying, look, we respect the First Amendment and journalism and your right to free expression, and we're not after you for any of that. And I'm glad you said that. But one could argue you're slicing the salami pretty thin. I mean, if some government body got a hold of my text with sources and said, well, in this one you're being an advisor, in this one you're being a reporter, which, by the way, my texts to whoever don't sound like that. I'm not telling anyone how to land their plane. But that said, like, there is an argument to be made here that this is the kind of stuff that a robust free press should be able to protect from the prying eyes of government.
Well, first of all, we're asking him to come in voluntarily. And of course, there's nothing about his responsibilities with his show that would preclude him from coming in and say, I can certainly answer these questions. These go to my role as an advocate, as someone who the president would rely on for advice, and nothing to do with anything journalistic. So there's nothing precluding him from coming in, except, maybe he doesn't want to share with the country what he knows. But beyond that, we're very careful to say what we're interested in. We're interested in what he can say as a fact witness. We're not interested in anything that is covered by the First Amendment. I appreciate what you're saying, and we're very careful about that as well.
It's striking, the tone here, and I think one of the things that we have learned and has been useful in some ways of the committee releasing the tidbits it has is just reminding everyone that everyone, aside from Trump and a tiny coterie, were freaked out by all of this, including, it appears, Sean Hannity. I have to note, though, this is how he opened. This is January 5th. So he's texting, I'm worried about the next 48 hours. He seems to know that the White House counsel, which, as far as I know, was not reported at the time. We've subsequently seen it reported the White House counsel threatened to resign if he pulled off this crazy fakakta plan at the Attorney General. Here's the opening on the night of January 5th, the day before the big day. Take a listen.
Later, we'll preview tomorrow's massive pro-Trump march in Washington. We'll hear from Senator Ted Cruz leading an effort to force an election audit for 10 days prior to the electoral votes being confirmed by Congress. A big day tomorrow. Big crowds apparently showed up to the point where the West Wing could hear the music and the chanting of the people that were there already. And this all kicks off in the morning tomorrow.
Well, Sean, that's right. And tomorrow is an important day. We have an obligation, I believe, to protect the integrity of the election and to protect the integrity of the democratic system.
I mean, it is striking how many people are facilitating this in public as they are privately ringing the alarm bells about where it's headed.
That's exactly right. It is, really, I think, quite shocking when you see the contrast of what is being said publicly and what is being said privately. But even more striking is you see the alarm from some of the former president's closest, most conservative allies, the striking alarm in around January 6th. And you contrast that now with what you hear on that same network that he appears on, which is trying to whitewash the whole thing. That, to me, is also quite shocking.
Yeah, let me just reread this, because this is after January 6th has happened. Again, there's widespread, almost unanimous consensus that it was an abomination and a dark, dark day. And you've got guys, this is to two members, this is to Meadows and Jordan. We have a clear path to land the plane in 9 days. He can't mention the election again, ever. I did not have a good call with him today, and worse, I'm not sure what is left to do or say. I don't like knowing if it's truly understood ideas. Well, guess what? Trump won that battle because their plan was, you can't talk about this ever again because this is so toxic and so aberrant and so offensive to American democracy and such a dark day. But Trump ignored them, kept talking, and everyone's back in the boat.
You're absolutely right, and it's not just the Fox personalities like Hannity and maybe others, but look at the legislative leadership in Congress. McCarthy putting his finger to the wind immediately after the 6th, the attack of that day, and blaming Trump. You have the vigorous statement of condemnation by Mitch McConnell, and then both of them coming around to McCarthy, within a matter of days, down in Mar-a-Lago, kissing the ring, begging forgiveness. But similarly, others like Hannity, Carlson, and others, singing a very different tune. Now, Trump did show that, if he couldn't shoot someone in the street and retain his base, he could lead an insurrection and still get people to follow him.
All right. We will be, I imagining, see more of this or see public testimony at some point. When are we going to see public testimony?
I think within a matter of weeks. We're planning a series of hearings or several series of hearings. We want to bring the public along with what we're learning. But you can tell from these text messages that we have learned a great deal. And we want to share that with the American people. We want to make sure we do it in an appropriate way, that we can tell the story of what happened, but also that we do it in a way where we're not compromising our further fact-finding. But I would imagine those hearings, those hearings will start within a matter of weeks.
All right, Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you very much.
Thank you.